things have changed. That narrative we've all been told to follow, go to school, get a job, buy a house, start a family, and then maybe be happy. Well, that narrative has been broken.
The system is always trending towards disorder, and there's just no escape.
Gen Z has been subject to a lot of trauma.
They seem to have lost their social skills.
From the rise of the digital world to countless government failures and a complete shutdown of society, you are left with millions of people that are lost, lonely, and hopeless with no future to strive for.
More and more people suffer from isolation and loneliness.
Depression has almost become normalized.
This isn't a story of politics, agendas, or reformation.
Apparently, Gen Z is like aging really rapidly.
Rather, one of Gen Z being a failed generation.
Are people just okay with the way that the economy is right now?
Young people have no hope of ever getting a home.
For you to even start to understand Gen Z, you have to understand their biggest influence, and that's none other than the rise of technology and the internet.
One site that's gaining enormous popularity is YouTube.
Some people might just like having a bunch of things going on at the same time to fill their attention spans.
Children all over the country are glued to different screens playing Fortnite.
Skibbity Fortnite, skibbity Fortnite.
You have this entire group of people being raised when the whole world is changing around them. Gen Z, or Generation Z, is comprised of those born between the years 1997 and 2012. Though often referred to as a time of crisis, from the millennium to the global financial crash to the supposed end of the world.
They base this on interpretations of the Mayan calendar.
These years instead brought some of the most impactful revelations, from the smartphone to widespread home internet and social medias like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Now you ask, why is this relevant? Gen Z was born into the tech boom. People now had infinite access to global communication and information, all from their pocket. At first glance, innovation seems harmless, but need I restate, an entire generation didn't get to see these changes as innovations, but rather as the norm. Gen Z has grew up doing everything on screens, from messaging friends to watching videos, playing games, dating, recording their lives, and even going as far as building their very identity and beliefs.
The Matrix is real. They will try to silence me.
You see, what at first was a novelty soon became a dependency. People weren't just playing on their Nintendo DS for 15 minutes a day, they were now hooked on their devices. The bleak reality is we are in what I would refer to as the digital dark age. Gen Z is violently addicted to their phones, video games, and adult content. They resort to short-term pleasures to distract them from their depressing realities. People have become so hooked they are often on their phones for 10 plus hours a day. No better thanks to short-form content, dopamine hooks, and addictive algorithms. The ability to build social profiles has fueled collective narcissism and need for self-status among young people, as everyone actively tries to make their lives seem better online. Social media has completely destroyed the attention span of Gen Z, with people unable to focus on a video for more than a second.
I can feel my brain tingling to get a glimpse of my phone.
This has been worsened by Gen Z unable to complete everyday tasks like walking or eating without music or Family Guy funny moments playing. This is no exaggeration, and in fact it's a heavy underplay. This whole phenomena is described as brain rot, as it's so overstimulating it might as well be rotting your brain.
Level 5 got Riz, Livy done rizzing up baby Gronk, Ice Spice what the dog doing, Skibbity Toilet in real life only in Ohio.
And it gets better. In a world more connected than ever, you have the biggest loneliness epidemic we've ever seen.
Gen Z has a loneliness problem.
Gen Z is the loneliest generation in America.
You look lonely. I can fix that.
The cause for this is undeniably stress about the future, overstimulation, and social media. But instead of addressing these issues, Gen Z will often refer to thugging it out and coping. People rarely go out like they used to, and the majority of interactions are online. And as a result, you have millions upon millions of people with no one to talk to or find real connection with. Gen Z is resorting to living on TikTok or in the metaverse or even finding AI girlfriends. Undoubtedly, that was a lot to take in. But what does all of that even mean? Well, it's not looking good. You have a generation that can't focus, which leads to worse academic results, with many Americans unable to point out their own country on a map. And then this, by extension, leads to greater unemployment rates, with millions already hating the system and not wanting to work at all. Then from that, you have people exclusively making their opinions from TikToks or comment sections online, from taking down the deep state and the Matrix to fueling propaganda and cancel culture, with all sides of the coin having no real clue what they are defending. People are putting their beliefs exclusively on what big tech companies force to them in algorithms for 10 hours a day, and when they're done with the outside world, they shut away, fuel their addictions, and let their life amount to nothing. But this isn't their fault. The fix isn't as simple as just turning off the phone or deleting social media. There's a lot more to it. In fact, the entire generation was already failed from the start.
Somebody explain to me why I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage and I cannot afford to live.
Now, the British pound has fallen to its lowest level ever.
From the CDC suggesting major problems with regard to the mental health of our adolescents.
For younger generations, the cost of living has increased so much.
More than 1/3 of young people are spending much higher proportions of their income on rent.
I have just one question. Why change? Gen Z undeniably has countless issues, from their attention span, mental health, physical health, addictions, and even with false personas online, they hold a true lack of self-worth. This has been getting worse and worse by the year. But once again, why change? You see, Gen Z is aware of all of this, everything that's in front of them, but there's no desire or need to change this. Why would you care about your addictions or bad habits if you're constantly told the world's going to end tomorrow, that you'll never be able to start a family or even buy a house? This is part of the reason Gen Z doesn't want to work 70 years of their life and still not be able to afford to live. Things that have been the norm for generations have all ended with Gen Z. There is no debate. The system is broken. Education, housing, healthcare, retirement, all broken. Gen Z is at the forefront of a cultural revolution, witnessing the demise of every traditional norm, and they don't just struggle with housing and living, but also have a very different dynamic when it comes to these two things. From both parents being forced to work in order to live, which overall leads to less time the family has with each other, which by extension leads to breakup and divorce, making the single parent household all too common. And it gets worse. If the family is not raising the kids, well, the education system has them covered. You would have hoped. Schools and colleges have struggled to adapt to a digital world. They've ignored creative and entrepreneurial advancements, and instead are stuck living in the past, leading to kids being unprepared for the real world. So with no one raising the generation, people are developing all their thoughts and morals on social media, from TikTok influencers or people like Andrew Tate.
Something has to happen, which the Matrix has not prepared itself for.
Once again, creating further divide and leaving all the power with big tech companies. And now let's say you're a fluke in the system, and you stop rotting in your bed and get up and somehow land a job. Well, you still wouldn't be able to get a house. Rents are astronomically high, and mortgages used to take 3 to 4 years to save up for, but now instead it's 10+ years to never. This leaves Gen Z, literal grown adults, 24, 25-year-olds, living with their parents, as it's not feasible to move out.
So what are you going to do with your life?
And when you understand all of this, there's no shock that Gen Z has a deep-rooted desire to hate the system they've been told to follow, with many romanticising the idea of living off-grid in a van or a log cabin somewhere. Now, this may be satire, but it highlights the severity of the situation Gen Z has been placed in. The hatred for the system is further fueled by economic instability, as inflation erodes the value of money, whilst income stays the same, driving rates of crime, fraud, and depression. So, I ask again, why change? Gen Z cannot afford to live, nor can they afford to retire 50 years down the line. The world is falling to bits, with Western nations like the UK and USA collapsing, and with constant fear-mongering, multiple wars, and no hope for the future. Can you really blame Gen Z for being on that damn phone?
Huh, that's odd.
Gentlemen!
You see, I would love to give the verdict that it's all going to be okay, or you've just got to follow this simple fix. Either all workarounds have been patched April 2024, or I don't find this to be the case. I was born in 2005, a Gen Zer myself. I'm meant to wake up every day and work towards something that is strictly unobtainable in the current climate of the world. And as I said earlier, Gen Z isn't blind to the chaos unfolding around them. They're aware of the economy, the unaffordable housing, and the bleak prospects for the future. And yet, amidst the rubble of broken dreams and shattered norms, yes, there may be millions glued to technology and addictions in the realm of bliss ignorance, but there's also a flicker of defiance, a refusal to accept the status quo. People do want change, and in ways the world's never seen before, Gen Z can create that change. But this won't be easy. Gen Z isn't just battling political issues or the relentless scroll of social media, but also far more extreme factors, from the rise of artificial intelligence and automation that can soon take the jobs of millions.
I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI.
Worsening unemployment, digitization, and the generation's mental health. But don't worry, it's not just Gen Z that has to fix this issue alongside all the other issues I've raised. It's everyone. Because if there's one thing that stood prominent over the last decade is there are many odds that need to be defied. The future of Gen Z is no exception. This is the revolution of a generation, and it's only just begun. I've been Tom Hayden, thank you for watching. If you want to support me, be sure to subscribe and engage with this video, as this is a new YouTube channel. And of course, have a great day.